guys, I wanted to make a more practical video as far as how to manage your time at work, because I used this before when I was working for this American company, and I developed this process along the way after several trainings and then looking at how other people manage their time for meetings and everything like this. So if you're burdened with so many meetings and there's so many people and trying to organize schedules of meetings, like I used to run many projects, and then how do you manage all these meetings happening at different times and not getting lost, right? So anyway, I assume first, this is with the assumption that you're part of some sort of company or some organization where you have some sort of ground rules on how meetings are held, and you already at some point or you have some sense of the value of time, and everyone has some sense or value of time, but of course the new people are not necessarily prompt or whatever anyway. And then roughly everybody uses some sort of calendaring tool. For my previous company, it's Google Calendar, and some sort of communication system, whether it's via email or SMS or whatever. There should be some of these things in place, right? But I'll just speak in terms of what I had in my company before for you to get an example, right? So prior to setting a meeting, usually you would confirm what the agenda is, because you have to know what you have to discuss, and then what to decide upon, right? And then after that, you then have to decide how much time do you need. You need one hour, half an hour, just 15 minutes. A lot of times before I would think that meetings should be at least 1 hour or more, or sometimes much more. But then I realized, things can be completed within 30 minutes or even 15 minutes, depending on how focused you are during the meeting, or if you have a clear agenda, then you can finish faster. So it's very important that you first confirm what the agenda is, and then how much time it would take to finish. Then after that, you can identify who are the attendees of the meeting. You need these attendees because these are the people, of course, that you'll invite. Of course, there's some people who are required, there's some people who are just optional to be consulted, etc. So you need to clearly define who these are at most times, right? So there, and then you can start defining like what's the venue of the meeting. A lot of times before, I would think that all these meetings have to happen face to face, but then I learned and realized that you can actually do these one-on-one or on a bridge conference on the phone, right? Only if you need face-to-face meetings where you need to decide on very important things, then you can. But in the cases where it's not so important, or video and phone conferencing is sufficient, then it's okay. A lot of times before, when in my previous company, we would use a lot of not video conferencing, but presentation conferencing, where you just show the presentation and everyone gets to talk, and then the host of the meeting moderates the meeting so that everything is orderly, right? So then that's what you decide. So then you're ready to schedule the meeting out, right? Okay, and then before scheduling the meeting, then of course you have this information about the people to attend, the agenda, the time, and how much time you need to finish, whether it's phone or there's a venue. Then you have to review your calendar. Check your calendar if you have any, what slots are available for most people. Usually they have these calendar tools. If you're all in the same calendar tool like Google Calendar, you can check everyone's availability and you can see when it's free, and Google Calendar will help you select when most people are free. And what's great about Google Calendar is, regardless of the time zone you're in, you can specify what time you work, what time you don't work, and then of course Google Calendar will help you select people's free time for work that coincides with everybody else. So it works really well that way when I was working in my previous company. And of course you have to after creating the calendar, of course you have to put meeting reminders so that it will pop up 15 minutes or 30 minutes in people's calendar before the meeting starts, right? So it will remind people. And then it's great to also add the agenda. In some calendar tools, you can put the whole agenda there, who are the attendees of the meeting, and then For those organizations that are not so very clear on starting on time, I suggest you put there, this meeting will start on time, to be very explicit. So that's setting the meeting. So number one, you set up the agenda, the time to finish, how long it will take to finish, the duration, the attendees, who's required, who's not required, the venue, and then if you need a venue, and of course whether it's via phone. So if it's phone, of course you have to set up a phone conference, and then schedule the calendar, and then after that set reminders, right? Prior to the meeting day, you have to review the agenda. I mean, I myself, I review the agenda prior to a meeting, usually a day before, up to as close as maybe 30 minutes before, because I want to prepare some items I want to discuss. Or if I'm the leader of the meeting, of course I have to prepare the presentation, right? So, but if I'm not the host of the meeting, then I'll prepare some quick notes for the meeting to contribute or give my input, right? And of course, if you are presenting for the meeting, if you prepare your materials way ahead of time, you make sure to check with stakeholders. If you have any data that you need to validate, then do it before the meeting, way ahead prior to the meeting, and then finalize your presentation. Don't go into the presentation where you haven't even finalized your materials and you still have to validate some stuff with other people, and then you're going to present. You should do all of that before. And then also prior to the meeting, you have to reconfirm with the attendees that haven't confirmed. There are a lot of people who don't reply or confirm if they're going to attend the meeting. So what's great about Google Calendar is you can check who are the people who already confirmed and who haven't replied. So for these who haven't replied people, I typically send out an email to them to check if they haven't replied, if they're going to attend or not. And at the same time, I actually do a instant messenger or a messenger chat. You know, sometimes your organization might have these chat tools, so you can easily check with them right away. Hey, why didn't you reply to my calendar invite? Are you going to be attending the meeting? So please reply right away. So at least it will be updated in your calendar, right? And then, you know, you'll come across these people who won't be able to attend, and because they haven't replied because they're scared to make you feel bad that they can't attend, but you find out later that they have a separate meeting scheduled. And then what I typically do is I talk with them and I ask them, hey, you were free during that time, why didn't you accept my meeting invite? And then of course you can find out what other meeting they had. If that's more important, then of course you'd let it go. But a lot of times I would try to convince them to stay and join my meeting, because my meeting is important, you know, and I was waiting for them to reply, and then they were free in their calendar, right? So they should reply to me right away. And then usually for those people who really can't attend, it's something I can do extra after the formal meeting, the regular meeting that I scheduled already, and I don't want to cancel the existing meeting. I would still push through with the existing meeting, and then later on I would get back with that other person and do one-on-one, cover everything covered in the meeting, just via the minutes, and tell them this is what happened, etc. This is everyone's decision, and etc. like that. And then I get that last person's input, so at least the meeting time scheduled with everyone else is not wasted, right? So that's the thing. I schedule a separate special meeting for special kinds of cases where the meeting must go on, or else, you know, we'll keep on pushing out this meeting over and over again, right? But then again, of course, if there's more than half of the people who can't attend, and you know, it doesn't make sense to have two separate big meetings, then better to reschedule the meeting. Okay, so it's the meeting day already, right? So what do you do? What are you supposed to do? What I typically do is, like, if I'm going to, these are the worst case scenarios. I'm going to be late. I actually tell people that I'm going to be late, and here's my new estimated time of arrival to people. That's why I tell them. And if I do arrive early, I tell people, whoever's there or whoever, if the organizer's not there, I tell them I'm already here. We're here waiting, right? Because we don't want to waste time. And of course, if you're there waiting, then you might as well use the time to do your other stuff. So bring your laptop or whatever, your phone with you. You can still continue working on your phone or your laptop, right, while waiting, so that you don't waste your time. Okay, usually I know that some companies or organizations, you have like a grace period in your mind, right? But a lot of times it's kind of fuzzy. People have it's not really pronounced or very clearly specified in companies or whatever. But usually you can put that in your meeting invite about the grace period, but that will encourage people to maybe not show up. I don't know, I don't put grace periods. But usually, like when I enter into a meeting, and then if there's someone not there within it varies 15 minutes, then they're still not there, then I would tend to tell them, okay, you guys are not here, I think it's better to reschedule, and there's not enough people in the meeting, so it's better to reschedule. So I would tell them that they need to reschedule. But the problem is, if the person who scheduled the meeting is still not there, there must be something wrong, right? So they must have a very good reason why they're not able to make it, right? But if you find out later that they didn't have a good reason why they can't make it, it's best to take them aside and tell them that, please, I scheduled this I confirmed for this meeting, but you scheduled it and you're not here. Why? I had to get rid of other meetings, or I had to prioritize your meeting over other meetings. So please, can you please make sure to make it next time? So there. That's what's prior to the meeting, when the actual formal meeting, when it happens. As you get, if someone's late, or you get to the meeting early, what you can do, etc. Now it's the meeting. Okay, what else is there? Okay, so the next one is like you're in the meeting already, right? So what I usually do ahead of time is, like, once the host comes in, or if the host was already there before the meeting actually starts, I tell them, hey, Mr. B, I have a hard stop at 3 o'clock, so I need to leave at maybe 5 minutes to 3, or I will leave at 3 p.m. sharp, right? Because you need some time to get to your next meeting, or you need some time to prepare for the next meeting. So that's what I usually tell them right away. Then I myself also, typically review the agenda to make sure everybody understands what's going to be discussed. And then a lot of times, like in my company before, we would identify someone who would be a rat hole monitor. I'm not sure if you know what that means. It means to see if people are just going around in circles and discussing things over and over again, right? We usually delegate someone in the meeting to be a rat hole monitor, but actually you don't need to. Everybody can be a rat hole monitor. If you keep on discussing about something about this agenda that's not moving, etc., or you're talking about something else that's not related to the agenda, then they're a rat. You have to call those out so that you can keep back on track with the agenda, right? And sometimes you can identify a timekeeper in case it's very urgent and you need people to be on time. You can assign a timekeeper, but usually if you're a very good meeting host already, you can tell how much time each discussion should last, and you can move things through, right, to stay on the agenda. But if it's important, then why not stay in that agenda item, right? So anyway, make sure also that there's someone taking notes in the meeting. Someone has to take notes on the decisions, the attendees, and then per agenda, what are the actions or decisions that were decided upon, right? Or if there's no decisions yet, then take note who's going to take care of the next steps to do something, and then you might have to bring that agenda back into the meeting. Of course, if you feel the meeting is nearing the end time, but it's not yet the end, you might want to give a heads up. Hey guys, the meeting is we already spent a lot of time discussing this, but I don't think it's going to be done. I already have a hard stop by XX time. So can we wrap this up Can we wrap this up already? Or we schedule another meeting already, right? So you guys discuss that and you give everybody feedback. So it gives a heads up that, we spent already time, it's almost the end of the meeting time, right? Okay, and at least everybody knows that you have another meeting, right? Other people might have another meeting. Actually, when I see other people do this in my meetings before, to me, I really I was like, why aren't you thinking about my meeting? I scheduled this meeting, you should be here longer. But of course, then I realized later on that, everybody is busy and everyone has their own schedules, and I have other meetings too myself, so it's best that we finish this meeting and then move on to our other meetings, because we have other things to do also. So I typically in the last few minutes of the scheduled meeting, like 3 to 5 minutes, I typically review the items that for the agenda that still need to be covered. You know, the next agenda for the next meeting, how much time do we need, and then also review some of the key decision points that were made during the meeting, so that we know that everybody's on the same page, as well as the key next steps that need to be done, so that make sure that everybody's on the same page, and everyone knows how we're going to move forward. I don't usually do this, but sometimes I recognize once in a while the people who made it to the meeting on time. We don't usually do that, do we? No, we don't. Actually, I don't. But it's good to do it in case people attend on time. It's good to recognize them. No need to chastise the people who didn't make it on time, because there's this saying about praise in public and something in private. I forgot what the word was. Chastise or give feedback and constructive feedback in private, right? Okay, and now we're done. So how about post the meeting? After the meeting, you need to make sure that the minutes get released to remind people of the discussion and the decision points that were made. That way, everybody is still on the same page, and everyone has a record of everybody who attended and what are the next steps, etc. Right? And then you can set up the next meeting. So swiftly set up the next meeting, because everyone's calendar is going to be quickly filled up again, right? And of course, this is the point in time where you can actually talk to the people one-on-one. For the people who were kind of late, who didn't, in attending the meeting, find out why they didn't attend on time, and let them know that, it's very important that you attend on time, because my time is important, your time is important, I respect your time. So please be on time so that we can finish everything, and then you can go back and do what else you need to do, what other things you need to do, so that you can make better use of your time. Anyway, those are my tips that I used a lot in my previous company before, because I used to have many back-to-back 30-minute meetings a day. So like in the morning, back-to-back 7:30 to 8 to 8:30. It's really literally back-to-back. And what's great about my previous company is they allowed phone conferencing. So I can just call in from home, and then everybody's there from around the world for whatever given meeting, and everybody enters usually on time. If ever there was a grace period, it's probably like 1 to 2 minutes only, because people would drop in, and then we would start the meeting promptly and try to get everything done. It's really important that, I wish that all Filipinos and everybody around the world would see the value of doing things promptly on time. I'm sure maybe back in college we didn't have this training, as I mentioned before in my previous video. They had training only for the the officers of organizations were given training on time management, people leading management through people and all this stuff. But really, we didn't have anything like this in high school. I don't remember having anything like this in high school about time management. I forgot already. Maybe the officers did, but we didn't. These are basic skills that everybody should at least have, so that everybody will be on the same page on how we can work with each other, so that we can work more efficiently and make sure there are no misunderstandings or But I guess because I grew up in this culture in the Philippines where we have this thing called Filipino time, which everyone's always late by about an hour or so. I'm not sure about all the companies, or I'm just speaking about my observations myself that I've seen. So I don't know about other Filipino companies, but there are some companies that it's okay to be late. Maybe there are also some industries where it's okay to be late, but I don't think it should be that way. We should never accept something being late or blame it on the traffic. Well, traffic maybe, but of course it doesn't excuse you from giving a heads up to the person that you're going to be late for X and X amount of time because the traffic build up, etc. Right? So maybe that would be an okay thing, because traffic is really something you can't control, or it's out of our control, unless you have a phone conferencing software, or you have something that's easy for us to get from one meeting to the next, and it'll work out fine, right? But at the same time, you should get to know, or at least you should have, after a month of having some meetings, you'll have an understanding of how the traffic situations would work out, and how much time you need to get from one building to another building if your meetings are in different locations. Anyway, those are my tips. Maybe I'll have some other tips on other stuff that I used to have before in my previous company. Some more tips on how to work more efficiently and better. Maybe email tips. Actually, I made an email tip video, but we'll see about that one. Maybe I need to update that one. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed listening to my video. If you think, I made this video so that some people, I don't know who wants to learn about managing meeting schedules and everything like that. In case you know someone who's having difficulty, please share this video, and do send your likes down below if you like this video. And I hope maybe some, like, before going, people graduating from college or people graduating from high school or whatnot get to see this video, because this will really help people be more on time, right? Anyway, that's all for today. Take care and have a great day. Till the next video.